Hey, it's Mike Hambright with FlipNerd.com. Welcome back for another exciting VIP interview where I interview successful real estate investing experts and entrepreneurs in our industry to help you learn and grow. Today I'm joined by Andrew Massaro, a Florida-based real estate wholesaler that also coaches others on how to be successful in wholesaling. Andrew has a ton of experience with wholesaling. Today we're specifically going to focus on a few different topics from kind of a wholesaling overview for anybody that's newer that wants to learn more about what wholesaling is. We're going to talk a little bit about generating leads and some of the things that Andrew does in his business. And another important topic we're going to talk about is kind of mental conditioning to make sure you stay focused. This is a roller coaster business emotionally, or can be, so it's important that you stay strong. Before we get started, though, let's take a moment to recognize our featured sponsors. RealtyMogul.com is an online marketplace for real estate investing, connecting borrowers and capital from accredited and institutional investors. Get a rehab loan fast and close in as little as 10 days. Rates start as low as 9%. We'd also like to thank National Real Estate Insurance Group, the nation's leading provider of insurance to the residential real estate investor market. From individual properties to large-scale investors, National Real Estate Insurance Group is ready to serve you. Please note, the views and opinions expressed by the individuals in this program do not necessarily reflect those of FlipNerd.com or any of its partners, advertisers, or affiliates. Please consult professionals before making any investment or tax decisions, as real estate investing can be risky. Hey, Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit beforehand. I know you've got a lot of great experience and it's going to be a good show with learning some lessons. And it's funny, there's a lot of people, as you know, there's a lot of people that are newer to real estate investing that have been led to believe one way or another that it could be an easy business, but it's not easy. It's not easy.
Definitely not easy.
Yeah.
If it were, everybody'd be out there flipping houses, making $1 million a year.
Yeah. So I know we're going to talk about a number of things, but I'm excited to kind of get to that last piece. We're going to talk about the mental conditioning, because this business can it's an emotional and financial roller coaster, and if you're not prepared to weather those storms, then you're going to have a short-lived life as a real estate investor, right?
Absolutely. Got it. There will be tough times.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. It comes with the territory. You're going to be hung up on. You're going to be cussed out. You're going to have doors slammed in your face. You're going to have people threaten to sue you. You're going to have times where you don't have any leads coming in, and you're going to start freaking out. I mean, all these things are pretty much par for the course. You just have to be prepared to handle them.
Yeah, fight through it.
Determined. You got to push through it.
Yeah, you do hear all sales is like that to some extent, but this is probably an extreme case to where, certainly the vast majority of leads or people you talk to, you're never going to buy their house. So you hear no a lot.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And most of the people that most of the offers you make are just going to be flat out rejecting right off the bat, you know, because they're expecting, A and you're offering Z or something
right.
like that. I mean, you're way apart. And I can't remember how many times I've been cussed out. I've had someone threaten to fight me before just off a postcard.
Wow.
I sent them a postcard, wanted to buy their house, and they were so offended that the guy called me up and wanted to meet me in the parking lot of a local supermarket and have a fist fight.
Yeah.
Those things make me laugh now, but there's going to be some tough times.
There's some interesting
every single day.
One thing I say this all the time once you're a real estate investor, like you've done a lot of deals, you're never gonna be the life of the party at cocktail receptions for the rest of your life, because we have some crazy stories. But well, hey, before we kind of get into some of the topics today, can you kind of, for those that don't know you or don't know you well enough yet, why don't you tell us your background of how you got started in real estate investing and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, no problem. I was working a corporate job, corporate sales and marketing for a local radio station back in 2005. And we were going through the real estate boom. We didn't know it at that time, but it was at the tail end of it. But, everybody was making money, especially here in my market in Tampa. Everybody was making money, hand over fist. Even if you weren't in real estate, I mean, you were finding a way through, interest-only loans, speculation was rampant, all this stuff. So I wanted to get in on it. I was miserable in my job. I was sitting in a cubicle. I was making about $30,000 a year. going through all the office politics and backstabbing coworkers and bad management and, all this different stuff, taxes and health insurance, all the, dipping into my check. And, it was just, I was miserable. I was flat out miserable.
Yeah.
And so I got a hold of my buddy. I'm childhood friends with a guy named Preston Ely, who's pretty famous in investing circles. And he was wholesaling houses. I didn't even know the term wholesale. I just knew he was in real estate making a lot of money. And I went to lunch with him, and I asked him, what he was doing. That's when I got introduced to the term wholesaling. And I asked him, after a few meetings, I asked him, hey, would you be willing to teach me what you do? And, he was pretty hesitant because at that time he wasn't teaching anybody. He was just straight wholesaling houses. And from his viewpoint, he was going to be training his competition.
Right.
Excuse me. So, and he didn't know how serious I was. He could train me for 3 or 4, 5, 6 months, and then I end up not following through. And that's a lot of time and effort that he's wasted there. So I was going to join the Rich Dad coaching program. In those days, it was only $6,500.
Yeah.
Today, it's like, I don't know, 40 grand or something like 25 to 40 grand. But, that's a lot of money. When you're only making $30,000 a year, $6,500 is a lot of money.
Absolutely.
I had that on a credit card. So my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, said, why don't you call Preston and tell him what you're about to do? If he gives his blessing, then you have my blessing too. And I said, that's a great idea. So I called him up. It was a Sunday. Called him up and I said, Preston, I'm getting ready to join the Rich Dad coaching program. What do you think about that? And he said, how much is it? I said, $6,500. He said, no, don't do that. He was, meet me at Starbucks tomorrow at this time. Bring your checkbook and we'll figure something out. So I gave him a check that was much less than $6,500. I think it was like $1,000, something like that. And the rest is history. I became his very first student. 6 months later, I quit my job cold turkey. I was still in his coaching program, but I had flipped a couple of houses. I felt really, really good about what I could do in this business, especially if I had more time to really get out there. So I quit my job. I cashed in my 401k. I opened up a low-interest credit card, and I said, I'm just going to go for it. This is it, and I'm going to make it happen. And if I ever needed a job again, I could always go back to the radio station. I had plenty of friends in corporate positions that could bring me back. But you know what? I never had to do it, man.
Yeah.
And thank God. I could never do it today. But it's that's the last job I ever had. I've been flipping houses actively on my own since '06. I launched my coaching program, Wholesale Coaching Inc., in 2008, and I've been doing both ever since. And through between personal and student closings, I've done hundreds of wholesale transactions. So, but that's my story.
That's great. That's great. Well, talk about. I want to talk a little bit about just a kind of high level overview of wholesaling, which like the back of your hand, and a lot of people that are listening. We have a lot of very experienced people that I know listen to the show as well. But just kind of give an overview of how you define wholesaling.
Yeah, the best way I can define it, and what I tell people who aren't familiar with it, is to give them an example. And my example is, we are realtors for fixer-uppers. So, we broker the deal. That's what we are. Just like a realtor is a broker, they're not a buyer, they're not a seller. They're a middleman who brings those two entities together and charge a fee. Well, that's what we do. We are a broker of a wholesale transaction, which means you're selling on wholesale and you're also buying on wholesale. But we broker that deal. We're the middleman, and we charge a fee. A realtor charges a percentage. We charge a flat fee. It depends on how low we can negotiate the purchase price, how high we can negotiate the selling price. That's what we make in the business. But so that's basically it. We are a wholesale broker of real estate, and we can make. There's no income ceiling. There's also no risk in what we do because we're not actually buying. We're not taking title. We're not doing any of this stuff. We're not making repairs. As a broker, if we need to get out of a deal, we can do that. So, there's no risk, there's no income ceiling. And it's really a pretty, it's a pretty neat business, to get into. So,
yeah. And you're saying, when you say no risk, you're saying, if you choose, you can have something in your contract that gives you the ability to terminate a contract or something. And so,
if you're a wholesaler, you have to have at least one out clause in your purchase contract. So, my out clause comes by way of an inspection period. So, my contract says something to the effect of property must pass final inspection or buyer's final inspection prior to transfer of title or something like that.
Yeah.
What that does, that basically gives me right up to the closing table the option to cancel due to a failed inspection. So it is it's foolproof. It's perfectly legal. Now, we don't like using that out clause.
Right.
That's a last ditch resort. That's if we absolutely have to get out of the deal. But that's a big time waster, not only for us, but also for the seller, who's typically in a little bit of a pinch, a bind anyway.
Yeah.
So you want to do that, but you have to protect yourself also. You need some insurance. So that's really it, man. So as long as you're smart about your contracts, there is no risk in the deal.
Yeah. No, I think it is important to say, and I know you believe the same thing, that you don't ever want to mislead people that you're buying a house from, because like you said, a lot of times they're in a difficult situation where they need some sort of closure. So sometimes it makes sense to have the ability to terminate. Sometimes, I've wholesaled a lot of houses, but I've generally got them under contract in a way to where I want to try to wholesale it, and if I can't, I'll take it down myself and do something with it. So I think probably the main difference between us and a realtor, as you kind of compare to, is generally we're taking equitable interest in the property. We usually have a contract to purchase versus just they hired us and we have no kind of equitable interest in the property. So yeah. But there are some ways you can structure it to where it's low risk and things like that. So great. Yeah. What's interesting to me is when I first got into real estate investing, friends and family members and stuff, they just didn't believe, like, well, why would, because you're saying, well, I'm going to find the deals and then I'm going to mark them up and sell them to somebody else. And always the common belief was, why would somebody buy it from you? Like, why don't they just go buy it themselves? And until you are a wholesaler, you don't realize how hard a work it is to find and source deals, right?
That's really the key.
That's the hardest part of this whole business.
Yeah, that's what most people say, and that's a lot of times I tell my students that is, you're not technically a real estate investor. You're not investing anything in real estate. You're investing some time, but you're not buying houses. You're not selling houses. What you are and what you really need to be is an expert in marketing. That's the real key. You got to get the phone ringing. And that is why so many rehabbers and landlords buy from us, because they value the service that we bring. We do all the front end marketing, negotiating, contracting, all these things that either they don't know how to do or they don't want to do.
Yeah.
So it's worth it. It would be worth it for me. I already know if I were a cash buyer, rehabber, landlord, I would be perfectly happy to buy from a wholesaler, if they will do all that work for me.
Right.
And that's something answering phones as a wholesaler to flip, a couple of houses a month, you need to feel like 100 calls.
Right.
So, these rehabbers, they're out there, they're managing contractors and work crews, and they got multiple crews going at one time, and they might have 50 rentals or 100 rentals, all these different things. They don't have time nor the inclination to answer or call back 100 people.
Right, and go meet with them, sit on the couch, listen to their stories, try to solve their problems.
Yeah.
For the same reason that most people listening to this call don't change their own oil or cut their own hair, right? And it's like, it's a service. That somebody's marking it up and they're going to make money on it, and you're okay with that.
Wanted to.
Yeah.
But who wants to do that?
Right.
It take you twice as long. You get oil everywhere. It's going to be trial and error.
Yeah.
Or you could just pay somebody $30 to go do it for you.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. Awesome. So talk a little bit about lead generation. You talked about the importance of being a good marketer and generating leads. Maybe you could share some of your insights of some of the ways that you generate leads.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways to do it. Some generate more than others. Some kind of generate mass leads, where others are smaller in number and quantity, but maybe more qualified or more high quality. So the main staple of my marketing plan is direct mail. Direct mail to me is it's the most, I don't know if it's the most cost efficient, but it's the most effective if you want mass amounts of leads. So, if you're looking for, a couple of leads here and there, you might be able to do something else. But if you want, 100, 200, 300 leads a month, you can accomplish that with direct mail. You're not going to accomplish that necessarily with a newspaper classified ad, though that can be very effective too. But you're not going to get those type of numbers with that. You're not going to get that probably through a lead gen website. I mean, you can crank out some leads to that, but probably not in the hundreds.
Right.
You're not going to get that with bandit signs. So, I believe it's important to have a what I call a well-rounded marketing mix. I never want to put all my eggs in one basket, just in case, that doesn't pull leads that much or sufficient amount of leads to what I need. But generally, the bulk of my marketing budget goes into direct mail. And I usually mail to several different lists. I mail to absentee owners that have the equity that I need. So I pull that list from a website called listsource.com. You can pull targeted lists, and it'll cost you a couple hundred bucks, to get a 2,500 person list that you can mail to. So, and you can keep that for a long time. That'll be useful for a long time. I also mail to, I have a subscription to a website called realtytrack.com, which I really like. So you can pull targeted lists from RealtyTrack also. So I pull a list that is homeowners in foreclosure within 60 days of having their house auctioned off, but also has at least 30% equity in their house.
So like a pre-foreclosure list or something?
Yeah, I don't know if they're pre-foreclosure. I mean, they've been in it for a while.
Okay.
Here in Florida, it takes a long time to get foreclosed on. Like it takes I think they may have tightened up the laws now, but for years we were one of the slowest states, if not the slowest, on actually foreclosing people. I mean, you could literally skip a mortgage payment for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
House. I think it's a little quicker now, but the court system, the laws were very slow. So the people that are facing an auction, they've been in foreclosure for a while. And if they're within 30 or 60 days of an auction, they really have no choice.
Yeah, they're more motivated and need a solution for their problem at that point. Yeah.
They need a cash buyer, or they're going to lose their house. Because by this time, they're not able to get themselves out, and they're not able to hire a realtor to sell on the open market, because it's just not enough time.
Right.
30, 60 days is not time. You need 90, 120. I mean, you need some time, especially if your house needs work.
Yeah.
But you'll be surprised when you pull that kind of list off a Realty Track. You can get some nice high-end homes too, which is nice, because then you get some nice spreads on that one. 30, 40, 50 grand a pop. It's not that often, because mostly people that are in high-end homes like that aren't in that kind of position, or they have access to cash, something like that. But you'll find some here and there.
Sure. Well, maybe share your thoughts on kind of the importance of consistency, because I know you and I both know how critical that is. I think a lot of newer real estate investors, or even some veteran people, they'll throw some money at something, they try something, and then they say it doesn't work. But a lot of times it was because they just tried one time or half-heartedly. And
yeah, you have to try things multiple times, especially direct mail. I always tell people you should judge your direct mail campaign by your third and or fourth mailing. Your first mailing, you may get a deal or two on first mailing, but most likely you probably won't. Second mailing, you should generate more calls. Third mailing, more. Fourth, even more. There's I guess a study out there, or kind of like a rule that a consumer needs to hear or see your ad or experience your ad at least 3 times before they pick up the phone and call. So you really need to make a commitment when you're mailing. With other things, it can be a little different, like with bandit signs, stuff like that. You can judge that off of one time putting them out. But with mailing, you really it's a commitment. You have to have enough cash in the bank to do 4 mailings. If not, if you only have enough money to do 1 mailing, and you better get a deal out of that mailing, or you're going to be out of business. You're in trouble.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be in that position. But it takes consistency, and you really have to track what you're doing. So I have a tracking sheet that I give my students, but you can easily make one on an Excel spreadsheet, or even write one down. I mean, if you wanted to. I put out 100 bandit signs. I got 20 calls. I made 5 offers. I got 1 deal. And you can kind of calculate your cost to deal ratio and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And figure out, well, if I put out 200 bandit signs this time, maybe I'll get 2 deals.
Right.
Or those kind of things. So you really have to track, and then after your campaign's over, after your 4 mailings, or at the end of the month, or however you do it, you need to review what's working, what's not working, why is it not working? Is it the message you're sending? Is it the postcard, the size of the postcard, the color of the postcard, the verbiage I'm using? Was it the day of the week that I sent it? All these things come into play. And you try and figure it out, and then you send it out again.
Yep.
And you send out another 4 mailings, and then you evaluate. And I mean, that's a big key to what we do, is tracking and evaluating, and then consistently marketing.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, consistency is key. We talk a lot about what it takes to be successful, and one of the things that comes up all the time is that, unfortunately, a lot of people treat it more like a hobby than a business, and they just try a couple things here and there, they dabble, and then they say, well, this doesn't work, and it's because they didn't treat it seriously. They just kind of were not consistent with marketing, didn't track any of their results, so they don't know what actually did work or didn't work. Mm-hmm. And so those things are definitely critical.
It can't be a hobby, at least from a wholesaling perspective, because you're in there you're in the trenches. Doing a lot of things. So now your business can grow to a point where you can sort of put it on autopilot. You can maybe bring in a partner like I did, outsource some of your duties to him, and outsource some other things, virtual assistant, stuff like that, to where you can get it on autopilot. But it's still a business that needs tending to. But when you're first starting out, it absolutely cannot be a hobby. You have to be consumed by it, and that doesn't mean that you have to spend all day, every day, trying to work on this business and get it up and going. I started this business. I was working a full-time job, so I dedicated my nights and weekends to it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't. I always tell people when they ask me, can I do it while still working a full-time job? My answer is always yes. It doesn't matter if you work 12 hours a day or 2 hours a day. In my opinion, it does matter though how focused you are. Those 2 hours a day, are you sitting there without any distractions, focusing on your business, or do you have kids running around, your wife's pulling you in different directions, and all this different stuff? You need that singular focus, and you have to be determined.
Yeah.
Too. So be focused, be laser focused, treat it like the business that it is, and you'll get the results that you're looking for. If you treat it like a hobby, you're going to get hobby results,
right?
And which are nothing, and you're going to say this doesn't work.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue to kind of talking about the mental conditioning part of this, because not only do you need to take it seriously, but there's, even if your business is successful, every successful real estate investor I know still has lots of ups and downs, and lots of downs. Those ups, they come every once in a while. They can make all the downs, they kind of cancel it out in your mind, but you've got to be able to live through those times. So maybe kind of share, some of the things that you teach on the importance of kind of staying mentally sharp and being able to weather the storm. Yeah,
there's a couple things I think that are important. One is you have to understand that it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster. Now, what you really want is you want your roller coaster to be up here rather than down here. So, you want you want a 6-figure roller coaster rather than a $30,000 roller coaster, one of those kind of things. So, but it's going to be a roller coaster. You might flip for an average guy, you might flip 5 houses one month, but you might flip 1 house the next month and 0 house after that, and then hit 3 after that, and so on. So I don't think there's a way it's possible to structure your business to where you're flipping a specific amount of houses every single month. So it's not a job. That's the only downside. But when you consider the upside of how much money you can make, it's certainly worth the risk. So just understand, there's going to be really good times and there's going to be some tough times. But you got to structure your business to where you can overcome that stuff. And 2 is you have to be in a mental mindset that is conducive to be successful not only in this business but in any business. So and how do you do that? I'm a big believer in things like positive affirmations and stuff like that. I was taught that by my mentor. I teach that to my students. And, to this day, I recite affirmations. They're more like confirmations. There's a great book out there called, it's been so long since I read it. I think it's Secrets of the Millionaire Mind.
Yeah.
It's by Tim Harbecker. You can pick it up on Amazon for, $10 or $15 or something like that. It is a great, great read. Anybody can read it. It's not for the master investor or the super rich. It's for regular guys that want to know how to think like a millionaire, act like a millionaire, manage your money like a millionaire, all these different things. It's a great starting point. It's mandatory reading for all my students. That's step 1, buy Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, read it. In there, he gives you a list of affirmations or confirmations, I think he calls it, and I still read them to this day. Every day I wake up, it's part of my morning routine.
Yeah.
Read my affirmations. He teaches you how to manage your money. You're going to open up 6 different bank accounts. One account's going to be for continuing education. One's going to be for business. One's going to be for savings. One's going to be for fun. All these different things. And there's a certain percentage that goes in each one. And it's really, really neat. And it's a different way of looking at it than most people look at it. So most people look at finances or business from the eyes of a millionaire. Most people look at it from the eyes of a non-millionaire,
right?
But we want to get there. So you need to do things that are going to get you in that mindset of what I call a crusher. You got to get in the mindset of a crusher. Whether you got to do positive affirmations, meditations, whether a physical fitness routine is part of it, whatever gets you going and makes you feel confident and self-assured. And instills that belief in you that you are going to be successful in this business no matter what, that needs to be done. So you create a routine, especially a morning routine. You wake up, you do this, this, and this, and then I'm ready to start my day. So my routine incorporates affirmations, meditation, a CrossFit workout. All these things are important to me to not only feel good, to think clearly, to feel strong and confident, to where I feel like it doesn't matter what comes about. Whether I think I'm going to make 50 grand on a flip and I lose the contract, doesn't matter. I can move on from that. I can figure out why, I can learn from it. It won't crush me. And also I can attract, all kind of opportunities and all these things into my life. So that's it, man. You got to understand that you're going to have ups and downs. Be prepared for them. And 2 is you got to do whatever it takes to get yourself into the mind of a crusher so that you can't be derailed.
Yeah, I think it's important, especially at real estate. Most real estate investors are, it can be a lonely business. If you're out there on your own, like you said, you're generally probably not talking to a lot of people because they're probably your competitors, so you're kind of tight-lipped. And so you kind of isolate yourself in many ways. Unless you have some out or some ability to kind of stay sharp, it's easy to start to convince yourself, because you're in this dark kind of corner, that maybe you should be doing something else, or maybe this doesn't work, or maybe this doesn't work anymore, or whatever it is. And so whether it's a mastermind or, like you said, exercise, just some way to kind of stay sharp and be able to kind of, fight those battles and fight on another day.
Working on yourself is equally, if not more important than working on your business.
Yeah.
Because you can work on your business all day, every day, but if you don't believe that you can be successful, if you're not confident, if you're scared to talk to sellers, if you get discouraged and disappointed very easily, you're just spinning your wheels.
Right.
You're just working and working and working and not seeing anything. It's really a two-part equation. You got to have the knowledge and get some experience and the wisdom, but you also have to have that determination, that want.
Yep.
If you bring both of those together, and that action, determination, action, couple that with the knowledge and information, and then you got something real there.
Yeah, awesome. Andrew, thanks so much for sharing all this today. If people want to learn more about you, where should they go?
Yeah, I have my coaching site is wholesalecoaching.com. There's all kind of information there. You'll see testimonials. You'll learn about me, my background in more detail, all that stuff there. You can apply. You can book your own appointment for us to get on the phone together. I have a blog with tons of free information on there. It's andrewmassaro.com. You spell my last name Massaro. So andrewmassaro.com is tons of free info there. I have a podcast on iTunes. It's just called House Flipping Podcast, Wholesale Coaching Inc. And you'll see it there if you just search real estate investing. And I think that's about it. So
awesome, man.
Yeah, I'm out there, man.
Yeah, not too hard to find you. Well, hey, thanks again for spending some time with us today and sharing your insights. I appreciate it, and hope you'll stay in touch.
Thanks, Mike. Take care.
All right, have a good day. Are you a member of FlipNerd.com, the most robust real estate investing platform in existence, where you can find off-market wholesale deals and great vendors literally in your market? You can get access to advice from experts and learn about local clubs and events right in your backyard. If not, please visit FlipNerd.com and register for a free account. You can register in less than a minute. It's pretty much the coolest site that's ever existed in the real estate investing industry, so get on over to FlipNerd.com.